We have been following breaking news from Ottawa this morning. The Bank of Canada has announced it's cutting its key lending rate. As expected, the rate now sitting at 2.25%. That's down 25 basis points and brings the rate to the lowest level since July 2022. The bank is also signaling this could mark an end to its cutting cycle unless the outlook for inflation and the economy changes. BNN Bloomberg's Lindsay Biscaia is standing by with more for us. So, Lindsay, let's talk about what we heard from Tiff Macklem last hour. What did he say was behind today's decision?
Well, really what's behind today's decision, Marcia, is the fact that this really reflects just the weakness of the economy right now in Canada. Tiff Macklem was saying that the trade dispute that we're having with the U.S. right now, Canada and the U.S., is persistent. And he says the impacts of U.S. trade policy already clearly evident. He used those words when it comes to Canada's economy, particularly in certain sectors. When we're talking about auto, steel, aluminum, manufacturing, he obviously mentioned that those sectors hit incredibly hard by what we're seeing coming out of the U.S. And he said the trade dispute has diminished Canada's economic prospects. So it's also important to note that the central bank has pushed back any expectations of further rate cuts, saying that the policy rate is now at the right level to keep inflation at 2%. But Tiff Macklem did say if the economy evolves along the lines of the outlook provided today, then they are prepared to respond to that. And that was something that when the Bank of Canada governor was taking questions from reporters, that was something reporters really kind of narrowed in on, because Tiff Macklem did say that there's considerable uncertainty right now from the U.S. He acknowledged that. He said the range of possible outcomes is wider than usual. And he says we need to be humble about that forecast. So at the moment, not expecting any more rate cuts this year, but he did say that could change. But again, a lot of reporters asking him why this is the case when he talked about just how much the economy in Canada has weakened, the softening of our economy. Why is this the case? And reporters were asking him, maybe, do you feel like your job is done here? Are you waiting for that federal budget next week and hoping that maybe the federal government can take it into their hands? Obviously, these two are separate, and Tiff Macklem's known for kind of staying in his lane. He said he's going to stay in his lane today, but he responded that right now it's not cyclical, these changes that we're seeing in the economy. He said that this is a structural transition, and because of that, we're just going to have to wait and see what happens in terms of that kind of economic outlook for Canada. And again, he stated that he will be prepared to make further moves if needed, but at this time, it doesn't look like we're going to see any further rate cuts this year.
Yeah, which is notable. And, you know, he made it pretty clear, Lindsay, that the tariffs have weakened the Canadian economy. So what does that say about the road ahead for us?
Well, really, it shows that at least for the end of this year, things are going to look rough for Canada. Tiff Macklem did say he feels the economy could rebound ever so slightly in certain areas by 2026. But, you know, he really hammered down on the unemployment rate, still elevated at 7.1%. He said people spend less when they're uncertain about their job, of course. And so he doesn't expect consumer spending to remain as strong as what they saw in the second quarter, because, of course, we did see strong consumer spending. But obviously, we're seeing inflation accelerated to 2.4%. Tiff Macklem mentioned that as well. Core measures tracking above 3%. So it looks as though there's a bit of a bleak outlook when we're looking forward in terms of the economy. But at this point, you know, the central bank hammering home that point that the basis points we saw today, a 25 basis points cut, that is what they expect to remain to keep inflation at where it should be. And again, we'll just have to keep an eye on what happens in the future. And obviously, with all this uncertainty, that's never good for the economy. It's never good for businesses who have been hit hard by this trade dispute. And obviously, the Bank of Canada keeping a close eye on whatever might happen in the future.
Lindsay, thank you for that. BNN